Hi, I've got something to say today about Norwegian Cruise Lines, and you want to hear this. You might get the impression that I just got off a cruise and I'm disgruntled because my cabin steward didn't smile at me, or my waiter didn't fill my water glass fast enough, or I'm just a basic malcontent old man that wants to bitch about something. None of those things are true. I'm actually a writer for Cruise Critic, and I'm actually known for very thorough and verbose reviews. I've written about 27 or 28 reviews for Cruise Critic, and I kind of feel like it's become my obligation when I get off a cruise to write about it. So I've written reviews for not only NCL but every cruise that I've been on for the last maybe dozen years or so. Norwegian Cruise Line is not a line that you want to do business with, and I'm going to tell you why. But before I get into that, I'm going to tell you who I am and what qualifies me to say that. My wife and I are very experienced cruisers. We've been on 53 cruises over the past 25 years. 14 of them have been with Norwegian. 17 have been with Royal Caribbean. There's been about a dozen or so with Carnival. We are platinum with Carnival. We are platinum with Norwegian. We are just a few points shy of Diamond Plus with Royal. We share their status with Celebrity, which we really enjoy. We've been on many cruises with them. We've also been on a handful of cruises with other lines, such as Princess and a few others. We really enjoy cruising. Okay. I'm also a very experienced businessman. So I understand business and I understand how businesses run. In fact, I kind of have a hobby where I look at other businesses and I try to understand how they make money. And I've certainly done that with the cruise industry. I've tried to understand how they make money and how they and that's particularly fascinating for me because cruise lines don't really charge a whole lot of money, given that you go and eat every day and you can eat pretty well. And you have hotel stay and they transport you from place to place and for not a whole lot of money, especially if you stay in meager accommodations like we do. We generally opt for inside cabins, so we don't pay a whole lot of money, and we cruise pretty well as long as we get upgrades and all that. There's no question that cruising has changed a lot over the years. And a lot of things have changed for the better, even though people like to complain that things have changed for the worse. Specialty dining for us has been good because we're foodies. So we like to go on ships that have a variety of specialty dining, and we do pay extra for that. Uh, but we enjoy it. We also enjoy that even in the main dining rooms, you can have tables for two. Before they were like 12, and you'd never get them. And you can eat when you want. And NCL does get credit for that because they started that. But there have been cutbacks in food. Uh, Veal scallopini, forget it. Now it's pork scallopini or chicken scallopini, but they cut back and things like that. You never see caviar on cruise ships, or at least not the mainstream cruise ships anymore. There used to be lobster nights, or, special dinners on welcome aboard night and farewell nights. You don't see that anymore. Haute cuisine forget it. And there's certainly been cutbacks in the loyalty programs. When we became Diamond members on Royal 9 years ago, I got more perks then than what I'm gonna have when I become Diamond Plus on Royal. I'll have less benefits than when I became Diamond 9 years ago. So that's kind of sucks. Carnival just made waves with their changes in their loyalty program, and now you have to cruise every couple of years, or you fall to the bottom of the heap. And I don't know how we're going to do that because we haven't sailed a Carnival in, gee, I don't know, maybe it could be 10 years. It's been a while. So we're gonna lose all our status. But anyway, but Norwegian has a reputation as being a nickel and diming. You probably heard that, and it is true. But does that make me not go to them? Well, no, it doesn't, because we continue to cruise with them. In fact, today's December 1st, 2025, and we had a cruise scheduled on the breakaway out of New York on the 12th, okay, 11 days from now. And so we continue to cruise with them because, in spite of their nickel and diming, we accept it as part of cruising because I'm a businessman and I know that they're in business to make money. They're in business to generate revenue. Do they do it in the best possible way? Actually not. They're kind of a pain in the ass. A number of times over the last couple of months, somebody would call and say, hey, you didn't buy enough stuff. Here, you still haven't bought a beverage package. You still haven't bought a water package. You still haven't bought this. They don't say it exactly that way, but they're going, hey, you haven't bought everything we offer. And I go like, I know what I can buy. I choose not to buy it. I bought specialty dining. I bought what I want. I bought an upgrade to a club balcony. Geez, relax. Jeez. But anyway, the worst thing they ever did when they nickel and dime it, and whenever we go, I turn to my wife and say, they really are bad. They really go to the nth degree to squeeze an extra penny out of a dollar bill. I mean, they're really, really, they're rough. They're too much. But the worst story about them, we were in the bistro several cruises ago, and they, as platinum members, they give you this voucher for two specialty dining meals. So we're in the French restaurant, and I ordered whatever I ordered, I think filet mignon or something like that, and my wife ordered the lamb. And when I presented the vouchers, the waiter said, oh, the voucher doesn't cover the lamb. There's an upcharge for the lamb. So I said, well, okay, whatever, it is what it is. How much is the upcharge? And the waiter looked at me and he says, $1.25. And I says, you're freaking kidding me? $1.25? I says, do you realize how cheap that makes you look? I said, why don't you charge everybody on this cruise ship 1 penny more for their cruise, and you'll be way ahead, and you won't look like such a freaking cheapskate. And he chuckled, but I was dead serious. I'm going, that makes you look like such a freaking cheapskate. $1.25, and everybody that I tell that story to just kind of cracks up because it's just so bad. It is just such bullshit. But anyway, I understand the business of cruising. I understand that they need to. The whole idea of cruising is to pretty much give away the cruise because they don't make any money on that cruise fare. was to get you there as a captive audience. And if you want to buy toothpaste, you can't go somewhere else. You have to buy it from them, and they make money on that. They hope they entice you with the specialty dining. And Norwegian now no longer offers a specialty dining package like Royal does. They want you to pay full price, and they're either $40, $50, or $60. And for us, when we typically go to specialty dining every night, it'll be ridiculous. We'll spend more on specialty dining than we did on the cruise, easily. So my understanding is that they no longer sell weekly passes for the go-karts. I mean, I've done the go-karts there, and I think they're kind of a blast. I'm an old man, but I think it's a blast. But they don't do that anymore. So anyway, we were forced to cancel our trip a couple of days ago for our December 12th sailing. And believe me, I would rather not have. But our daughter needs brain surgery on the day that we're scheduled to leave. So with 16-day notice, we canceled. Now, first of all, we did have insurance. And we were denied coverage, even though some people told us we would get covered. Other people told us we would not get covered. It would turn out to be, forget it. We're not covering you. But that's not what this is about. This is not about insurance at all. This is about Norwegian Cruise Lines. And let's not get off on a tangent. I understand completely that there needs to be a cancellation policy, and I get it. 50% if it's this many days, 75% this, 100% if it's short notice. I get that. I get it. I'm a businessman, and if they didn't have that, everybody would book every cruise and then cancel at the last minute, and every cruise line would be bankrupt in a year. I mean, I get it completely. But I think that every policy has special extenuating circumstances, especially for good customers, which we definitely are, and that sometimes you need to look at it and say, this might be a situation where we need to talk with this customer. Every businessman knows that it costs more to get a new customer than it does to keep an existing customer. Okay, you market the hell out of it to get a new customer, but massaging the customers you already have costs far less. In this particular case, they had a good customer that has already sailed with Norwegian 14 times, and they did not handle my situation correctly. So when we contacted them and said, hey, here's the situation, they said, you'll be fine. And I did not really want a refund. I never asked for a refund. A reschedule was fine. Okay, I have that kind of job where I can just pretty much go whenever I want. And in fact, it got to the point where my wife's birthday is in February, and we very often cruise. I live in New England, and believe me, I'm just perfectly fine going to the Caribbean in February. So we were actually on the NCL website selecting this one. It was on the breakaway. 11 days, just like we had done. You want this one, or this one? Fine, we selected it. Fine, that's what we're going to do. Okay, let me check. She came back and said, no, they basically said, Okay, that's what they said. You're out. You're not getting nothing. So I said to her, "Can I speak with your supervisor?" And she goes, "Sure." So a few minutes later, some guy named Brian came on, and and Brian was a total jerk. And and he's a big part of the reason why I'm here today speaking with you. For a couple of reasons. One, the 10 minutes I spent on the phone with him, I would like to tack on those 10 minutes onto to my life expectancy because he was completely useless in every way. And he had this smug attitude like he's the end of the line and he's the be all and end all. And he goes, "That's our policy, so tough luck." That's that. Um, he provided nothing to the conversation at all. He goes, "Nope, that's it." I said, "Well, I don't really want a refund. I mean, we can just reschedule." He goes, "Nope, in order to reschedule, you have to cancel this. And since you're canceling it, you're out. Tough luck." I says, "Let me talk to your supervisor." He goes, "Nope, this is the end of the line. There's nothing, there's no reason to escalate this. You're out. See you later." So that was the end of the conversation, and that's the end of the line for me with Norwegian. Now, why do I think you need to join in? Well, because you need to know that Norwegian Cruise Lines cannot be trusted. Any company that you do business with, you want to do business with a company that you can trust, be it a supermarket, a gas station, an auto mechanic, an optometrist, a dry cleaner, the corner deli, a hotel chain, or a cruise company. Doesn't matter. You want to know that you're dealing with somebody that you can trust. You cannot trust Norwegian Cruise Lines. I'm telling you, if they have an opportunity to hose you and steal your money, they will do it. I promise. Did they steal $1.25 from me? Nope. They were just stupid. They just did something really stupid that showed kind of is it comical? Kind of a ridiculous side, I guess is the right answer. But they had an opportunity to do many things to deal with my tough situation. They could have they could have refunded me. They could have, but they could say, "Well, gee, if we do it for you, we'll have to do it for everybody." So they could have said, "Hey, let's." It would have cost them nothing to put me on a different cruise ship. After all, they want people on their ships because that's where they make their money. That's where they spend money. That's where they have an opportunity to make a profit. Instead, they said, "Get the hell out of here," and they lose what surely must be a good customer because when I get on that ship, I do spend money. I will go to a specialty restaurant at least once a day. I mean, I hate to admit it, but I do because I'm a food snob. I will never spend another nickel at a specialty restaurant on Norwegian Cruise Lines because I'll never set foot on their ship. I mean, honestly, and I really mean this, if they offered me free cruises for life, I would never do it. I wouldn't go with there. Why? Because somehow they're going to find a way to mistreat me, to do something wrong. I don't know what it is. I wouldn't have guessed they would do this, but they will do it. They will find a way. They're in a business and they're in business to make a profit, but what they did is anti-profit because what are they going to do with the $2,500 that they stole from me? Will they sell that cabin? Maybe. Say they did. If they did, then they're going to take my money and put it in their pockets. They rip me off. Let's say they didn't. Well, enjoy it. They they lose because they don't have a passenger there. But more importantly, they'll never have me as a passenger again, and they get to have me doing this. Um, you know, in the final analysis, certain companies always have procedures for certain things in certain situations, but there's always situations that they cannot predict. And those situations will arise, and someone, not not low-hanging fruit like Brian, but certain situations where someone needs to say, "Yep, everybody below me did their job, but now I need to handle this because it's a different kind of situation." Should they have given me a refund? No, no, no. It's a no refund policy. However, we need to take care of this situation to preserve this valued customer. But they don't think that because they don't value me as a customer, and that's why you can't trust them. They are only interested in whatever they did, which is great. This guy's daughter needs brain surgery. Great. We get to scoff his 2,500 bucks. Well, you know what? You don't want to do business with these people. Hey, the only reason that I ever went on the breakaway, and this would have been the sixth time on the breakaway, not because, and no other ship have I gone on that many times. The most I've ever gone on any ship is on the Allure of the Seas. We've gone on 3 times. Do I think the breakaway is twice as good as that ship? No, no. It was home ported in New York, which is 3.5 hour drive from me. And at a time in my life where I was cruising about 4 or 5 times a year, it was really convenient. It was a new ship, and it kind of made sense for us to just say, hey, let's just drive to New York and go this week. So we book it on short notice and just head over there. So, but there's really no reason why I need to go to Norwegian ever again, because there are other ships that sail out of New York. Carnival MSC leaves there. I've kind of been curious about going on that ship. I don't know if it's any good. It can't be worse than NCL. It can't be. There's no way. There's no way. Carnival never tried to hose me. Never. But more importantly, Royal Caribbean is in Bayonne, which is like 20 minutes further away, and we're diamond. We get free drinks. I mean, there's no reason to go to New York versus Bayonne, New Jersey. There's no advantage. There's no advantage. Why do we go to NCL? Now, I can't imagine ever wanting to go there ever again. But again, the point of this video is so that you don't get hosed. Don't do it. There's no point. They can't be trusted. Don't go on NCL. Okay?